because Lawrence knew as much as he did, he was able to make it. And you're finding people more and more who are making their own projects that they've written that they want to do, as opposed to sort of like hired gun directors. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say it's like super uncommon, but it's not when it happens, because it definitely isn't something that happens all the time. And that was actually one of the questions that was interesting was, where was it? It was, does it feel more personal when you have a writer director who also who wrote the film as well, as opposed to somebody who's directing somebody else's script? What do you think?
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. And like this was like a double whammy, because it wasn't just Lawrence's story. It was one of the producer's stories as well that they wrote together as like an oration to each other walking in the woods. So it wasn't like someone sat down as an individual and outlined something. It was that they wrote the movie while like walking and just sort of transcribed ideas about acts and the structure of the story. And that was, I had never heard of that before, so that was interesting to me.
What I do was really cool is I think sometimes you will get a writer director, and sometimes it becomes very precious and there's not a lot of room to move or to wiggle or to play. And I think what was really neat about Lawrence and the way they directed, I mean, he had a very, very specific visual language, I will say. I don't think that boxed us in, but I mean, just visually, things needed to be done a certain way. But I feel like when it came to performance, he really let us play. And let us loose, and was just kind of like, the words are yours, do whatever you want with them, which I think was really great. I mean, the script was really good. It didn't really, it's not like it needed a bunch of like improv or anything like that, but if we felt a certain way, we were allowed to do it, which I think was really, really, you know.
Especially with your character, there was so much nuance to make it feel so real, of your disbelief unraveling, or believing, you know, how people want to look at it, like, you know, how your belief sort of structures around this new idea that she had convinced you.
Look, I was just latched to you and just holding on to life.
I was so scared that it was going to be, for those that have seen the movie, you know, and if you haven't, it's called Mother May I. Please go check it out. It's on a streamer called Tubi, Tubi. I wish there was like a text I could put on here for people that use English. It's not their first language. I have a lot of English as their second, third languages for the fan base that has rallied graciously around me. So yeah, Tubi. It's a free streaming. Just sign up. It's free, and then you can look up our movie. It's probably the easiest way to find it.
Yeah, I think it's on other platforms as well, like other on stuff.
Yeah, like on Apple as well. If you want to pay for it, we would love that. Yeah, but Tubi, if you know, that's the free place to watch it. If it's something that you want to be more familiar with, Apple, just search Mother May I, and what did you say?
Zach's yelling Jones at us, which.
Wait. That's funny.
But I think, I mean, you know, we kicked it off. I think it would be a good thing to talk about now is just, how did you get ready? How did you prepare? How did you get ready to play this dual role? Was there anything specific? Like how was that? Because, you know, my performance hinges so much on your performance and what you're doing, you know, like, how was that for you getting into that? I mean, that was not easy.
I was terrified because I had tested for projects where I had various forms of schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder.
It's an old hat for you.
You what?
An old hat for you.
Yeah, throwing on that guy, the multiple people in one head situation. But no, I mean, I found in my research that dissociative identity disorder is like, there's an array of, there's paranoid, there's like hallucinations, there's new people and there was just so many different kinds. It was like the word cancer, where there was a million different kinds.
Sure.
And so when I got this role, I loved how it was set in this world where it's not dissociative identity disorder, but it was in the context off of this character that I have two different relationships with. And I thought that idea had not crossed my mind before.
Sure.
That's initially what drew me to it. It wasn't just what I had experienced in the past playing with, but it was this new angle at it. And secondly, I as Lawrence suggested I should do, because he was working, definitely the first, maybe not the last, but it's definitely a weird tool, was working with a Buddhist coach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
So Katie had been working with Lawrence and Daisy individually just in their lives. And Lawrence was like, you might want to check her out. I was like, okay. And initially I was going for myself with the movie in mind. And very quickly it became about the movie more so than me. I should take her again. She's like 5 sessions on the phone, different exercises on and off the phone that you would prepare for your like next session. She was really, I had never experienced anything like her. She's like therapy on steroids, like a very meditative therapist on steroids, though. It's very intense. But she's lovely and she's incredibly qualified. She went to like a Buddhist school for 5 years to, so yeah, it's I guess slightly religious, but I would say it's like more spiritual than religious because there's not one deity that you're talking to. But yeah, that's who I worked with. And she plays with elements of like, if you're wind, if you're fire, if you're water, or if you're earth, what does that mean? And so, yeah, that's mainly what we did was we like divided Anya and Tracy into different elements. And so that kind of, so when I would think Tracy, I would think that element. And when I would think Anya, I would think that element. But then like the amounts of those elements would differ throughout the film. Like, is there a hint of that? Or is it like full on? So that's the place where I got really scared because I was like, I don't know how this is coming off.
Yeah.
And not being fully aware of yourself as an actor, as an outside person, could be like a good thing, but it's also maybe like not such a good thing when you're playing 2 characters.
Yeah.
It was a lot of faith is ultimately what it ended up being for me.
Well, I mean, it paid off. I think you did a great job.
I mean, the smoking and I think, you know, it's a bit of a cheap call, but it's true for me, you know. I think the smoking and the outfits really helped.
Of course.
Just feeling so different. Letting one be very, you know, baggy clothing and slouchy and uncoordinated, and the other one being so put together is such an easy thing to pull for. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't leaning too much into that, but that obviously definitely, the more like spandex on Tracy definitely helped.
Yeah, but I mean, it paints such a picture, and it also helps. I mean, for me personally, things like that help ground me or really get into somebody's body. Like wardrobe for me is super, super huge. Like,
so important.
Everything, like how he walks. I mean, you know, I had my kid's about to come in. One sec.
Kyle has 2 adorable children and 2 adorable dogs. He's got a full house.
I live up here, so. Posted on that. Sarah, that's live right then. You know? Sorry.
Hey, you're good. You moved to Texas. Are you liking Texas?
Right. It's an adjustment. It's very, very like wildly different. You know, Holland actually came and visited me out in
Vermont.
The movie so we could meet and get to know each other, and you know, it's just, it couldn't be more different. Let's just put it that way.
Well, Texas is, you know, maybe more supportive and cheaper if you have like resources down there. But I think many of us are suckers for the trees and for the creeks and for the.
I'm lying if I said I didn't miss it a lot. I loved it out there.
Well, hopefully you can like your next 2 movies are going to be in like forests. It was really fun. I think also another thing to point out for any filmmakers that are watching this is that This was my first time producing a project, and I really fought for the location to be real. There was we had like a free option to shoot in Tahoe and in California or Nevada side, one of the two. But it just had different trees and a different feel than upstate New York did.
Yeah.
And I think that isolation of where we were in upstate New York, the house sounds in upstate New York, the foliage in upstate New York, the amount of creeks in upstate New York made a very big difference in our experience filming it, as well as the aesthetic that was on screen.
Yeah.
So for me, I fought for that location. I was like, I just was like, guys, no, we can't. I know it's free, but let's not take that option.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was cool. And that's something too, thing, like I've never, like Holland found this house. It was basically,
No, Lawrence did.
oh, you did? Well, either way.
Lawrence did, yeah.
Giant converted barn. And we all, because it was during COVID, that we all went and lived in it. Like we lived in it and we shot in it, which I've never done before. That's
in our character beds.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, we lived in that house for, what was it, 3 weeks?
I think it was closer to 4.
4? Yeah, so we would all wake up, have breakfast, shoot, get dinner, or have dinner sent in and hang out, and then go to bed and do it all over again. It was like summer camp. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, and that I was shocked that wasn't already a thing. Like in the indie world, you haven't shot in your like lodging house, like the production house and lodging house wasn't the same house, and you're like, no.
I know. It was cool. It was very cool. It let everybody sort of, I don't know, everybody just got really close and created, I don't know, just a nice bond for everybody. And
it was totally summer camp. Totally. Yeah. It was wild. I think we got really lucky. Lawrence was very concerned about everyone getting along. We got very lucky in that sense. I think we all are pretty outdoorsy people, as actors, or as individuals outside of acting. And that was something that had to be organic and just, do you like outdoors? Do you like jumping in creeks? Do you like walking barefoot? Do you like the woods? Do you not mind the bugs? Because like those things just were what they were. So I think it helped a lot that everyone had a very similar personality and mentality when it comes to not only movie making and being a team player, but just the environment. Yeah, that helped a lot.
I mean, there was no room for any bullshit, really. You know, there's time for it. They're running into a movie, and you know, everybody had to live together. Like there was no room for any kind of like diva bullshit.
No. But I mean, we got lucky to have Kyle, y'all. If you, I just say hold out for the people that you really want. Like we got so lucky that you were our only person we wanted, and we got you. And I was like, what? Kyle's gonna do it? Like I just couldn't believe it. We had the same agent at the time,
right?
And I still didn't think it was gonna happen. So like you have an in, but you're like, it was just a dream come true to be a fly on the wall, because it wasn't obviously my script, but being a part of it in the beginning and then being like, we got it, like that ride was really wild to feel. I felt like it was my script, even though it wasn't my script. And then I was like, it's because it wasn't my script that we got Kyle. This is awesome. Like it was cool as a producer.
Yeah. How did you get the script? What happened?
My dream of a manager.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think I think he knew Dane. So we had Dane and Raj, and then we had Daniel. Those were our 3 producers, as well as Phil. So we had 4 producers. And I don't know how indies work with the amount of producers, since I had come from mostly television.
It depends. An indie film,
there could be like 25 producers for finance reasons.
There's this guy put in $100 here, and this guy would, you know, it can be like a scrolling, you know, thank you list. But I mean, for this one to have 4 pretty active producers, Daniel was off the location, but he still was very involved. So the fact that, and then Dane's brother was epic. Cole was very helpful. The 2 producers, Dane and Cole, became also catering. And there was like
4 restaurants that would be on rotation
Yeah.
when we all weren't cooking. And so, yeah, like I said, like everyone really had to be a team player. And poor Dane and Cole were not used to being catering. It was a very different role for them. And they crushed it.
Those guys, a lot of hats.
Yeah, it was so funny. So that was interesting. But yeah, I would say there's 4 producers. And where was I going with this?
Just how you got the script, how it came.
Thank you. So I believe it was Dane that Jason got the script from. And they knew each other somehow. And he immediately said, yeah, like I think Holland would like this based on the projects that as working actors, like there's projects in the past that I'll never let the darling fully be killed if I didn't book something. And that's a problem I have. But there were certain types of characters I was so close to getting to play, but I didn't get to play. So when my manager read the script, he was like, oh, this is I don't know how like Olivia Cook did not get the script first. And thank God Lawrence was not picky. As long as I fit certain check marks, he's like, okay, she's good. He was really concerned with us not being diva-esque or certain requirements and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I was like good enough for him. And he took such a huge risk on me because I had come from a pretty commercial background. So to the fact that he took a risk on me, I was so, so grateful.
Yeah. Read or do anything like that. He just was like,
No.
And rock.
Yep. He showed up to my van living in Topanga. I definitely think that helped. He's like, who the fuck am I? And so he really loved like the nature that I lived in at the time and the story of why I was living and where I was living in this like weird woodsy area, the hippie area of Los Angeles. So I think that helped. And the fact he was such a kind filmmaker and being like, if you want to do it, and I think you fit the environment that you're going to be able to thrive in or you'll be able to survive in just fine, you're good. That's all he required. And so I felt a really big responsibility. Like, you came in with such a background that it wasn't like he's like, can Kyle do this? I don't know, I hope. Like, that was never the sentiment around you. But I felt very, it was like the pressure was up against me to be like, okay, I need to prove this to myself. I need to prove this to him. I need to prove this to Kyle. Like, I really felt I think the pressure is good, but it was necessary. And thank God it all worked out and Lawrence was happy. Yeah, so that's kind of where my head was at, getting the script. And he showed me a really cool deck on, I think it was Canva that he made it on. And ever since then, I've been making my decks on Canva. His lookbook was, did you get the lookbook or just the script?
I don't know if I ever did. Yeah, no, I think I just got the script.
The lookbook was
the script in a short.
Yeah, I got the shorts, and then the lookbook. The lookbook for me told me that not only verbally there's something here, but visually I trust this guy.
Sure.
That was from my end, but as far as the overall experience goes, it was me more pleading to be a part of his vision. It wasn't like, you get me, congratulations.
Oh.
So yeah.
Please just let me do it. Just let me do it. Just let me do it.
That's literally what it was. I was like, how is this happening? And we got lucky. Like, my managers found the script and we got really stinking lucky that he wasn't like, ooh, if this actress is this interested this quickly, who else could we get? Like, that wasn't his mentality. And I am just eternally grateful for that.
That's great. That's awesome. I mean, it's such a good feeling when somebody trusts you to do what you do. You know what I mean? Lets you do your thing. It's like, I think it's so easy to put people in a box. It's so easy to just compare what somebody's done to something else. And it's like, no. Like, the whole point for what we do is to like grow and flex, change and do these things. And it's nice when you get those chances. It's nice when people take those shots on you for you to do something different and be like, look, guys, this is it. This is what I do.
That's huge for the filmmakers though, man, because the filmmaker, that's their baby and they want to make sure that it's being handled correctly. So like to be like, oh cool, I'll cast my lead as someone who's never done something like this before on the screen at least.
It's a lot of faith on both ends. A lot of trust on both ends, you know? trusting each other, that, you know, not, I mean, look, it's one thing for him to trust you to do the job, but you're also trusting that he is going to have the correct visual language,
Right.
be able to show it, be able to highlight you as both characters in a way that, because quite frankly, at the end of the day, you could have done what you did, and if it wasn't shot right or presented right, it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
Totally. And that's
You know?
where I knew he had a visual from the lookbook, and then how particular I saw. So he wasn't really part of our location search because he and Craig were so deep into like lens testing and light testing. And
Craig,
that also, like the whole time he also brought a shot list, shot for shot of the movie to our meeting, which was wild. I was like, I've never seen this before. And I was like, I don't even need to see that, which was, but I saw the lookbook and I was like, we're good. I knew he came from Columbia or NYU. They're both very good schools. And
good
he
film.
came from New York. He was like a New York street kid. Like he just knew how to just get the shot. And he wasn't coming from like commercial LA world where he needed all the toys. And that was the fact that he had experience in that made me feel really good, that we were going to visually be able to get it.
Yeah. He has his own style. He has his own thing. There's nothing rigid about it. He really knew what he wanted, and I really appreciated that a lot. I mean, because there was so much in the script to dig into, and it's one of those scripts where it goes both ways, because you do read it and you're like, this is cool and I like this, but if this is not in the right hands, this is gonna be a disaster.
Oh yeah, we both were like, please let this turn out. Please let this turn out. And the fact that like there was no lights, guys. Like he had like maybe one or two lights in
crazy.
a fifth of the scenes, maybe a sixth of the scenes. Like mostly was all natural
lighting.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. They did.
It wouldn't look that good on a big screen with like no lights. That's wild to me. I also a couple big compliments like on the back end if you're making a film of like when Lawrence gave me several Bergman films to watch, and then in one of the interviews I did, it was one of the nerdy film type interviews, and he was like, this reminds me so much of Bergman, and I was like, oh, Lawrence is going to flip when he hears this. So that's, you know, to have like certain references and then on the back end it come full circle was pretty cool. I'd never had that happen before. And then the other one was when my boyfriend watched the film, he had like different eyes for me. Like he was like it was just the way he had never really seen a project I was proud of, and really was so, not that I wasn't proud of my previous projects, but I was never that involved. I was the actor it ended there. So to be able to see someone who I love really just get it, and creatively, I had never gotten to show him anything like that. So that was a huge check mark. I'm sure, I don't know if you've done so many crazy roles that I'm sure your wife, like, I don't know even who I'm married to, but.
Yeah, I know. It drives my.
For sure he does.
Drives my.
But yeah, so that was really cool. I had never experienced that before. So.
No, that's great. I mean, it's awesome. And the thing is like, you jumped in with both feet. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing, because if you had played it safe, what's the point? If you had played, why are we here? You know, and it's like, and you jumped in with both feet, and you really made two very, very distinct characters that both felt very alive, very lived in, very realized, and it was really cool to watch, because even when I'm doing it, it sometimes is hard to see the forest through the trees. Like, I don't mean that in any negative way.
No.
Like, watching you going, what the fuck is it? No, it was more like, I think this is working.
Yeah, we didn't know. We did not know.
But so you see it, it's like, it's that last 10% where that 90% you're like, I think we're good. And then you see it translated on screen and you're like, oh, there it is. Like, that's what it looked like. That's, you know, because I can see what you're doing here and I'm like, this is great. This is working, you know, but are they catching it properly? Are they catching those looks? Are they catching the little things you're doing? You know?
Right. No, I mean, it was, as an actor, I still like to outline a lot the progression of a character's ebbs and flows to make sure like my personal mood of that day, of that morning, of that night, of what we had for lunch or whatever it is not affecting the ebb and flow of the arc of that character. That like I might want to play this funny, but the arc of that character needs to be played at darker, or that arc of the character needs to be played more subtle. Like making sure the through line from scene to scene in our own heads, so that the editor's like, yep, that makes sense.
Right.
That's not affecting, I'm just going to do this today. And it's like, well, that's great if you can weave it into like the ebb and flow of what that arc's supposed to be. And so in this case, it was 2 arcs. So it was just like trickier in that sense. But no, it's still something that like is a big priority for me, is making sure we sit down and be like, okay, what's the biggest role I can play in making sure this arc works of a character's trajectory.
Yeah, and it's a lot more to juggle to know where you were and when you were on any day. You know what I mean?
Right. When we mostly shot chronologically, but like even if we did, it was still very segmented. It still felt very like, is this gonna work? I think, but we don't know. Like, totally. Yeah. Did you have any questions? I know your fans are very like devoted to your like art, like the process. What other fun questions did you have?
They just, I have some questions that they had, for us. We've answered some of them just as we're talking. Did you have this is I got this one a few times. What, did you have a favorite scene or like a least favorite scene? Like which was something that was like the hardest to shoot and something that was maybe like the most fun?
What was your answer?
I really liked the chair reversal scenes.
The ones that I felt like you didn't even like shooting in person.
You what?
I felt like you did not like shooting those in person. You were like, Lawrence, one more question. So you're like, would I be this upset by this point though? Or like, I feel like it needs to be thrown away more. Like, I remember you asking so many questions about chair reversal. And I was like, oh, I hope he's having an okay time.
No, I am. I ask a lot of those questions.
I know. Yeah.
We have one version of it, so maybe there's another version of it. Maybe there's another version of it. Like I like to play and I like to do a lot of different things, and I also, I want to make sure we're in the right place at the right time. I actually really enjoyed them, and and a lot of those questions just come from like, is there another way to do it? Is there another way to play? I want to see something else. Like, how do we maybe shake this up a little bit? Just because it's like, if you're happy and you have one, great, you have one. What else can we do here to give you some different flavors or some different whatever? I had fun doing that. I had fun. I don't know. A lot of it was really pretty fun. Least favorite was probably, God, jumping in that fucking lake at the end was so gross.
The ends were rough. For sure.
That lake was, I still have the diarrhea lake poster that they made me from.
I remember, yes, the shades of brown, the diarrhea lake.
And the smell comes lake every time we stepped in the muck and it came up. That was rough. Those lake days were definitely a little rough. I'm honestly far from the hardest thing that I've had to do, but in terms of this project, those were probably some of like, but at the same time, like I enjoyed being outside and hanging out with everybody. Like I wouldn't say there was really anything that was like a bad time or a rough time. Like if I had to choose, I guess I would say that. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think. I really love I think it was one of those, like, can I try just one more, whatever I want, comes out, chair reversal. And it's the slow pan in. And I like hope this is on your reel because it's so fun watching you being like making fun of Anya and running through at the very end of when you're like, and then I'm just this, poet that goes to these art galleries and, and I don't have kids. Like the whole thing of you just like bouncing was so fun to watch. It felt like such a trailer moment. Like I was watching it literally as like, this should be the trailer. It's just such a fun, like goes blank. Like what's that about? Kind of idea. So I loved that scene.
That was fun. And that was what you're talking about, the questions and things like that. Like that choice was kind of bred from those questions where I had an idea and it was like, can I just try this? And just,
And then I remember Lawrence was like, but we got it, or he said something like along those lines. And then when that take came out, like, it gives me chills still. Like, Lawrence was like he was dying behind camera, and I was like, I know, this is great. Like, we both felt like the trailer moment. Like, it was just such a cool experience to have as an actor. You're like, it was cool. It was really cool. So yeah, I loved that. I think I loved the realtor scene where it was funny but also really hurtful.
yeah,
And
I like that too,
and
actually.
you're like selling the house and she's like, excuse me? Like, it was just, I really had fun with that. I wish that scene was longer. I wish that like that back and maybe it would have lost its power if it was longer, but I do feel like that idea was so funny and so hurtful and then also really scary because
Yeah.
I think she's just putting on an act maybe in the morning, but the fact that she comes back to the house and still, well, for the audience, she's smoking in the car. That's interesting to have that moment by herself.
Sure.
If it's an act, wouldn't she drop the act when she's not in front of them?
Right.
It's one idea. But then the fact that she turns around the car and comes up the driveway and comes back in, yeah, I've just never seen such a like funny yet like sad yet scary that she's not breaking character yet scene.
Yeah.
Like the act two's continuing, so you're like, oh god, okay, so we're really in this.
And actually, there's another question in relation to that. That would be like, so what do you think? What do you think? Do you think it's possession? Do you think it's an act? Do you think it's this thing? Like, what do you, because I have my answer.
Oh yeah, I've never actually heard your answer. I think I played her 90% real with like just 10% sprinkled of doubt for the audience. It's like mentally how I went into it. But I didn't mentally go into it thinking like, okay, I'm faking this person. I had to, as an actor, be like, okay, I'm going to play this person now.
Sure.
And then consciously, but not too consciously, have moments linger of like I would make little notes in the scene of like, where are there moments of doubt that could be like, oh my God, is he buying this? But just a little veil of it, not much. And so that's how I played her. I personally think she was possessed.
Huh. I think,
but that's maybe a biased person to ask because that's how I approached it. That's how I had to approach it.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree, and I think my answer would be, it's kind of a non-answer, but it's like I don't know.
Right.
My character doesn't know, so I had to go into it as if I don't know. You know what I mean? I have to play it that way because there's moments of doubt and there's moments of it and there's moments of maybe I do want this to be real because now I can have this connection with my mother. Maybe I'm getting something out of it. And then, when you switch back, I mean, he's obviously getting something. When you switch back to Anya, he's very upset about it, and he's all of a sudden he's lost his mother again.
Yeah.
And, there's
I love that switch because it really felt like a different movie that had progressed just two actors. Like it was like, oh shit, now we're in this world.
Yeah. Right. And so, I mean, so for me, for my character, it's definitely like, I don't think he knows. So I don't know. I didn't put anything on it. I mean, I would say the more fun version is probably possession, but also at the same time, it's really kind of fucking fun to think that maybe she's just.
Well, I feel like these are not healthy relationships. People, like I've been in some weird situations where you're like, oh my God. Deep down, you're putting something on,
Sure.
but you're many layers of belief deep in like, I'm going to fucking play this role and I'm committed to this role. And I don't mean in acting, I mean in real life. People have these like identities that they really cling to. Sure. And they deep down know it's like, there are people that are married that I know in real life. Don't know well, thank God I don't know them well, but I'm like, do you take the mask off at the end of the day? Yeah. Like, how do you never break? Because we know who this person is at their core, unfortunately. And yet they're either married to a very kind person and you're like, that must be exhausting to cover up who you really are.
No,
And I think there's a lot of like deep mental illness out there like that. And is Anya one of those people? That's kind of where that was like when I thought about the 10%,
Chris.
that's where I kind of went, was like, oh my God, there's those people out there that like literally never break. They are such a performance for themselves as well, that they're determined not to break. And so that's the 10% where my brain went, was like, there are those people, which is really, they fascinate me, because I'm like, how are you not so tired that you just need to relax? But they don't. They'll be married for years and like living off in the country somewhere and living a very fancy life. And I'm like, okie dokie. A lot of people benefit from that because they get what they want by faking it for so long.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I also was like, psychologist family, deep identity issues, that could have been on you. So that's the 10% where I'm like, that's technically a really fucked up version of this movie.
Sorry, I'm
far more than possession. Yeah.
I have a buddy of mine giving me shit right now.
What is he saying? I'm just thinking of these.
He's just being... All right. So I was.
You've seen Jennifer's Body.
I
actually haven't seen that movie, and I hear you're amazing. I need to see it.
You haven't seen Jennifer's Body? What the
No, I need to see this.
Like, me aside. Come on, dude. You haven't
so you and Jennifer's Body and Passengers are the two that I know on my list for you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you haven't seen Dinner in America, because that's my favorite. That's how I was like, Kyle is the most insane actor of our generation, and you've gotten credit, but like, you should be getting every script in town, which is always like, it's amazing. So yeah, if you haven't seen Dinner in America, go check out Dinner in America, guys.
Thank you very much. From your lips to whoever is listening.
It's such a good movie, and Emily Skeggs, I'm such a big fan of hers too.
Yes. Yeah.
They both did a great job. I was really very, very, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go act with this guy now. I'm so scared. But it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, I don't know. What other questions? I guess my least favorite for the answer would be, I don't know what the least favorites are. I would say,
I mean, nothing was all that crazy,
I think while filming it, my least favorites were the possession scenes, because I'm like, I'm so deep in this relationship movie.
Right.
I didn't really want the horror there. And thank God Lawrence was in the driver's seat and I was not, because the other hands coming out, which were Daisy's in the bed, they all worked.
Right.
It wasn't hokey at all. But I really...
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, like I was too in my own actor head of like when I had to go down to the basement and there was one of the only jump scares in the movie, looking at the abused child like files. I wasn't really into it, but of course you have to be into it when you're the actor.
Yeah.
But it totally worked, and that's why I did not direct this movie.
It's the moments like, Chris, you motherfucker. such a dick. Okay, so
Is that rascal? That's what it is. Oh my God.
Those jump scares are tough, because it's always like, you're supposed to make something happen, so that kind of feels like the least inauthentic in a moment. You know what I mean? But like, it's just that's
betraying what we were making too, because I was like, no, this is and we all agreed like it was a slow burn, it was a psychological thriller, it was more of like a mental head case than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But Lawrence had an algorithm of what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know if we all believed it was a little put on for festival purposes, or for, when you're making your first movie, you need to have certain check marks. And we were like, oh, are we just doing it for this reason? Would we be making another movie slightly different if we had all the resources in the world? But it actually really worked. And that's what I really love about filmmaking, and not being in the driver's seat and trusting the driver.
Yeah.
It's like, it worked. And that was really awesome.
It's always tricky, because those moments are for the audience, a lot of the time. It's the building of the tension. It's all those things they do. Those moments can really, in the moment,
Captain America, yes, Gizmo, Shikari.
Yeah. But in that moment, it's like, I know these are Daisy's arms, you know. But like on screen, it thing like the audience wants to believe. The audience is along for the, you know.
Yep.
And
I also thought it really added to the psychological aspect of, ironically, the possession did add to like, there was his mother's presence there that actually really worked for what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't near as put on in the edit as it felt when we were making it. And a betrayal to be like, no, but this is supposed to be this kind of movie, you know, like, and that's just my personal bullshit of, you know, wanting to make something that felt really real or really honest compared to straight horror. And so, but it totally worked. And I was really pleasantly surprised and grateful that Lawrence had the reins.
Yeah, no, it felt cheap. At the end of the day, it all felt like it was in service of what we were, what the film was. And
oh, Cameron Princess, yes, the hands, they liked it. Yeah, yeah. And
no, it was good. It was smart.
Mm-hmm.
It was really smart. Was there a first time working together? Yes, it was.
It was our first time working together. Yes.
Right?
Wait,
never even met.
Mm-mm.
No.
Maybe we had met like years ago with friends in our early 20s, like in passing, but no, like
just. It was probably waiting. I don't remember. Back then,
it was
past 8 o'clock at night on any given day. It's hard to know if I would remember any.
And I don't have any distinct memories of us together. Like,
no. I don't know if we'd met. I think it was our first time meeting, actually, which is funny because it's like, it's such a big industry, but such a small world.
Yeah.
When you're in this age range, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really. Well, I went out, but I went to like shit whole bar, like whatever. I was always fucked away.
Yeah. First time.
Who knows? Was it awkward film thing?
Not for me, but it's really important that I didn't have any indie experience really, and so it was important that being such a weird movie, I was like, I should go meet his like people. He like, you know, and just like get to know who you are and where you are. And, you know, you're married with kids. It's very different than being a single person.
Yeah, especially when you have stuff that's like intimate or like that. That's always. I mean, that's always a little. I don't want to say weird or awkward, but it's. I think people always think of it as one thing, when really it's really,
right. But my thing was more the intimacy of like the whole project. It was just
it was a very intimate movie all around.
Yeah, like how we were filming it, where we were filming it.
Yeah.
The size of the cast and crew, like the just also like it was such an emotional, intimate subject matter with moms and girlfriends and wives and fertility, and so it was like something that I wanted to make sure we were okay with.
And I think that's really an interesting thing. I think when people fixate on moments, it's almost always like, oh, like, was that moment in the bathtub together weird or something like that? Like, oh no, that's really just us covered up, whatever. Yeah.
You know
what I mean? It's almost like clinical. Like I think what you hit on is really interesting. People probably don't think about as much as like there is truly an emotional intimacy to a lot of these things because you're giving yourself over to another person emotionally. You're giving yourself over to another person and opening up sort of like either the darkest sides of you or the most fragile parts of you that you're giving kind of to a stranger. You know what I mean? And you're sharing these moments with people that you don't necessarily know well. And that there really is a powerful intimacy in that. And there's these things that a lot of people protect or guard or hide, like we don't have that luxury when we work. We have to give it up. We have to share that with each other. So you're 100% right. Like there has to be a trust there. It is hard. I've had people I've worked with that I'm like, I don't like, it's not that I dislike you. I don't like you. Like I don't giving this side of me to you. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think when, if this had a bigger budget and we all went home at the end of the day, or like just how intimate the process was, I was like, I absolutely should, meet his children and his wife. And like, cause I view anybody, we're all in it together. And so
Right.
it's your family plus me. Like it was a whole, so I don't just look at the actor or the
Sure.
actress. It's like, depending on the content, it's literally like we're all going to be in this big corral together.
Right.
And so if I know that his people trust me and I trust them, and it allows a better working environment for you.
It allows you to just go as far as you go.
Yeah, and that's something I don't know if every actor will be comfortable with me taking in the future with me, but and I'm open to that. It's a two-way street. If it's like it's a no, it's a no. But for me that was important.
Yeah, no,
Important.
I appreciated it. I did. It was nice. It's nice to get to know each other and build that rapport, especially before you go in there, and build that trust and and it's nice because I will say I've had a few movies recently with very powerful, strong female leads. You, Skaggs. I worked with Willa Fitzgerald on this movie called Strange Darling, and there really is an intimacy to those films, like in their own ways, and there is a trust that needs to be built, and it's a different kind of, I don't want to say like boys and girls or whatever, but it's like there's a different or however you want to say it. They're just
Different genders have a different trust.
I'm having to open myself up to I'm married, but I'm having to share these moments with other women and share these things, and I know there is there's an appreciation for that sort of connection, you coming to the house and creating sort of bond and comfortability. It's things like that aren't lost on me or my wife, because it's a weird industry. It just is. It's a weird thing. You're asked to do a lot of weird things. You're asked to do a lot.
Kaylee said the chemistry came through. Thank you. That's very sweet of you, Kaylee. And then someone else said, "What's your favorite dance move?" I keep seeing this from Kyle's people. What is this dance move about?
I don't dance. I have no idea.
You don't dance.
but I do I appreciated you coming up and having that sort of safety net and feeling comfortable with another person really allows you to just go as far as you need to go.
Yeah. I mean, I think of it so much as like a football team or something, like in like when really intense physical moments happen, it's like, let's get on the field and let's do this. Like it's like very much that mentality. We're not.
Me too. I totally think of it that I've done it for so long that like scenes like that where strip down to your underwear, you're like, yeah, okay, fuck.
Oh my gosh, here we go. I'm so sorry. My phone died, so I screwed up. This definitely screwed it up, guys. So sorry. I'm gonna wait for Kyle to come on. Let me see. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see if we have Kyle in here. Okay. He's coming, guys. We'll wrap this up. But yeah, hopefully if you have any more questions from the movie, just let us know. But I think there was another question about where we shot it. It was upstate New York. Why don't I remember the town? I can never remember the town. Start with a C. It's not Calistoga. Hi, guys. Let me see. Oh, there he is. There we go. Did it come up? It did not come up. Why isn't it coming up? Let me see if it's working. There we go. Maybe that's gonna work better. Hey guys. Hi. Thank you for watching Teen Wolf. Let's see. We're gonna see. I don't know what's happening. Kyle's unable to join. This sucks. This can't be the end. Okay. Let me see. There he is. Perfect. Okay. Sorry, Kyle. My phone died.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was on some weird rant about nude scenes or something weird.
Russian actors. Yeah.
Anyway, to sum that part up, thank you. I appreciate you coming out, and it was a really good step in the right direction for us to, I think, really jump in with both feet on an incredibly intimate film together.
Yeah.
Like it was great. It was a great shoot. Like I had so much fun, and it was so much fun to watch you work and you any day.
Well, thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it. I'm just excited to see your. I mean, I'm in the process of moving. The chaos is. You can't fully see it behind me, but it's definitely there. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to like get my house fixed up so I can like go back to night times of actually like watching movies and enjoying myself. So you're on my list for those couple projects for sure. Passengers I've been wanting to see for a while.
It's intense.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. It kind of has like a Murder by Numbers feel for me.
It's cool.
So I'll be excited to check it out.
It's cool. I think the trailer paints it sort of as a straight up horror movie, but it's definitely much more of like a character driven like thriller than it is straight up.
Okay. Is there going to be a Smile too? I just saw that in the.
They announced a Smile too. I don't know anything.
Okay.
Nobody tells actors anything.
No one tells actors anything.
So.
I know.
But it has been announced. That much I know.
Okay.
From involvement, I have no idea.
Okay. What else? Are there any last questions people wanted to know?
Anything?
I got a lot of Teen Wolf questions, so I'm relying on you for like the serious stuff.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I just go check it out, guys. For those that are new here, it's on Tubi. It's called Mother May I. If you like Teen Wolf, if you like Nightmare on Elm Street, if you like Jennifer's Body, I do think, if you like Escape Room, not super related, but I think you're going to like our projects. If you like those projects, you'll like this one.
I think you'll dig it. I think you guys should check it. Go watch it. Go enjoy it. Go watch Holland absolutely kill it.
Oh, you're very sweet. Let me see. I was so confused at the end because somebody explained it. Well, there's certain different interpretations, but my interpretation of the end for who Florence is saying that I think the ending represents two fractured people that do need a lot of therapy, and when they you what?
That's an understatement.
Yeah, that's an understatement. But I think that they go through a lot of odd trauma together through this journey of this weekend at his mom's house, where they come out of it and it's their normal, it's their weird normal, and they figured out that through very unconventional resources they could be there for each other, and that's, I think, a really beautiful love story because it's a real love story. I think this is an exaggeration, hopefully, for most couples, but I would say that like there's a real raw beauty by the end of saying like they're just gonna live in this really a misunderstood mess, but they ironically understand each other more as a result of that. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah. So for me, I actually think it was like a happy ending, even though it was such a bizarre ending.
Yes.
Yeah, they had to like push each other to the brink. You know, I won't give it away, but there's a canoe scene that's just so romantic.
They just accepted it just is what it is. You know, it's what it is for them.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
Florence, you what?
just a little fucking crazy.
It is a little effing crazy, but yeah, it's like, yeah. So I would say I really, I felt it really came together in the end, and like through all of that turmoil, they really did become closer and understand each other better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can you watch it? Amelie says, where can you watch it? You can watch it on an app called Tubi, Tubi, or you can rent it on Apple. Apple movie TV thing. Is there anyone else you can see it?
I'm sure it's available in a few places. I don't know. Things like that. That's when Google becomes my best.
Yeah. Where can I watch XYZ movie? So where can I watch Mother May I? For at least people in America, you can watch it for free on Tubi, Tubi. I'm not sure if that relates to other countries, if that is how it is there, but yeah, and then Apple is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I think that's mostly it. Thanks, guys, for watching all of our other projects and being fans of all those other projects. They fill it up.
Thanks for.
Thank you, Lou. The movie does seem interesting. Go check it out. I appreciate that. They're all very concerned about you dancing, so I wish you luck on that, Kyle.
But Holland, thank you so much for jumping on and doing this.
Absolutely, yeah. It's super fun to just revisit this time in our lives. It was a really fun project for me.
Yeah, it was nice to catch up. I talked in a while too, so it was very nice to catch up with you. Oh, did I lose you? You went silent for a second.
I went silent. I said, be well. Thank you so much for likewise for thinking of this to jump on. It was a great idea.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and living in the cabin, separate. We're finally getting some Mother May I questions. It was not difficult to separate the characters once the day was over. We were like drinking wine and cooking. It was we were exhausted. So no.
Yeah, everybody hung. Went to bed. Kyle was always stepping out, make phone calls. We were both just all chilling. It was watching really funny. Tim Robinson saved our personality, like just our sanity. Yes.
Yeah. I think person affected on screen was not applicable in this case. All right. I think that was. Just want to make sure there was no Mother May I stragglers in here. So yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah. If you have any questions, go back and watch this live and go check out Mother May I.
All right. Later, guys.
See you, honey.
Bye. Later.